Is Jake Paul taking an easy fight? That is the question for today, as Jake Paul just announced his next opponent, 10-1 boxer Andre August. Jake Paul went onto Twitter and said, "Ask and I shall deliver. August has more KOs than me, more wins than me, more experience than me, but I like to gamble. The path to world champ starts here. Just straight up boxing." Now, technically, there is some truth to that statement. Andre August does have more experience, he does have more KOs, but is this really a gamble? When this fight was announced, the controversy started quickly. Many were questioning his opponent, saying that this is an easy fight, he's fighting a bum, it isn't a pay-per-view, and the event is kind of just a joke. It's supposed to be an easy win for Jake. That is what the criticism has been. And of course, when you were talking about influencer boxing and Jake Paul more specifically, any fight announcement he has, people are going to hate on it. And I do think there are aspects of this fight that you can criticize, but of course some people are exaggerating a bit here. Is this Jake Paul's toughest fight to date? No, it's not. But it really doesn't need to be. I think people are forgetting that Jake Paul is pursuing a different route than most influencer boxers. He has wanted to separate himself from the rest of the scene for a long time now, and he's done a pretty good job of it. Aside from the KSI comparison, it's pretty much those two, maybe Logan Paul in terms of popularity, and then everybody else. Because unlike most influencer boxers, Jake Paul has the goal of becoming a world champion. And you can call him crazy for that. That is valid. I don't think that is very likely to happen. I don't think that is going to happen. But it's what he wants to do, and it's going to be what he pursues. And if that is truly his goal, then this isn't a bad direction to take when you consider his opponent. Because, for one, I do think fans are starting to get tired of Jake Paul fighting MMA fighters. I do think there are a few fights left in that world that Jake could explore, and they'll do well, and they'll be competitive. But for the most part, I think it's run its course. People want to see Jake box boxers. Which brings me to my second point. We still need to find out where Jake Paul's skill level is amongst actual boxers. We know it's not at an elite level right now because he did lose to Tommy Fury, and while it was technically a split decision, it was not a close fight. Tommy Fury clearly won his fight against Jake Paul. So right now, Jake Paul's kind of in a weird spot where he can't really up the levels right now. He can't fight someone better than Tommy Fury. He's trying to leave the world of fighting MMA fighters. So where does that leave him? Well, he has to take a step back and start where almost every elite boxer has started before. And that is fighting unknown fighters on a non-pay-per-view event. Boxers have been known to take insanely easy fights in the beginning of their careers. Fighting guys who will have like 10 wins and 100 losses, have just been knocked out time after time. And they do that for a lot of fights in the beginning of their career. Like all the biggest names in boxing at first were fighting guys with some pretty cheeks records. And now Jake Paul does not have the luxury to do that because he already has eyes on him. He cannot go in there and fight somebody with a losing record. But with that being said, this was a very smart pick by Jake Paul. Because you can look at his opponent and say, hey, he has more knockouts, he has a winning record, right? He's 10-1. This guy might actually be pretty good. But that's not really the case. He isn't great, and he's very beatable. He does have a loss to pretty much a journeyman, someone with a very bad record, you would say. And he has one fight in the last 4 years. He is 35 years old, and he's not really active. And that right there is right up Jake Paul's alley. He has all the technical aspects about him. It checks off all the boxes. Professional boxer, knockouts, great record. But when it comes down to the skill, it's not the highest. Because as we were just mentioning, Andre August has mostly fought bumps. He has not fought very good competition. Throughout this fight buildup, Jake Paul is going to try to make his opponent seem a lot better than he actually is. And I do think most are going to be able to see through that. I don't think he's terrible. I don't want to make it seem like he's the worst boxer ever. I think he's going to go in there and hang with Jake for a bit. But all I'm saying is that Jake Paul is going to try to hype him up as something he's not. And granted, I don't think this is going to be the new norm for Jake. Jake does plan on staying very active throughout his career, but I don't think he's going to fight many unknown fighters. I think we're going to see him here and there because with how active he plans on being, he can't fight a huge name every single time, and he can't up the levels every single time. So I do think those big opponents are still going to be there after this fight. I think he's going to pretty much mix and match it throughout this journey. And at the end of the day, I really don't mind this fight. When you consider Jake's goals and how active he plans on being, it kind of does make sense. You understand what Jake and his team are trying to do and the thought process around it. What do you guys think? Is this a good matchup for Jake Paul? Is his opponent pretty cheeks or is he pretty solid? Let me know. Subscribe for more boxing content and updates. The support is much appreciated. Thank you for watching. Peace.